sergeant and throws a silver star on his bunk. For what? That's that German plane you shot down 6 weeks ago. We weren't at war. We couldn't give you anything. So what were they doing there?
We're talking to Hutton Gibson, and he's obviously the father of Mel Gibson, and he's been fighting the New World Order, been aware of it for 50 years. We'll get into a bunch of other issues after this quick break. Stay right there, Mr. Gibson, okay? We'll be right back. Stay with us, folks.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
I know that we have loaded phones, and we'll get to your calls in the next segment because Mr. Gibson has been kind enough to take calls. And I've got a bunch of notes written here of questions I want to raise. But Mr. Gibson, any points that you'd like to address? Because you did your first radio interview as Hutton Gibson. You'd been on Pastor Butch Paul's show once before, but not as obviously saying that, of course, that you were Mel Gibson's father. But you were on his show last night, and now you're doing radio interviews. You're on this show, your second interview. Why did you feel that you had to go public about the current phase of the New World Order?
Well, there seems to be little realization of it. Anyway, not anywhere enough. And people simply don't believe you when you mention this stuff.
Now, at the same time, though, I'm seeing a major renaissance, a major awakening, though it's not fast enough. A big professor, the dean of the University of Oklahoma, is on the front page of the Daily Oklahoman yesterday saying it's a, quote, New World Order takeover. He said, quote, a new Rome. Is that encouraging?
Yeah, very. Depends on what side of the fence you're on, doesn't it? No, I wouldn't think that was a great thing for our side, that they are taking over. It's nice to hear it said, though, in public.
Ah, very astute. So you see it as them in the current takeover phase, throwing it in our face now.
Yes, they've been telling us. The word is passed around. George Bush Sr. used it on a couple of occasions.
You know, that's the incredible thing. You can show somebody the facts, show them the legislation, and then they'll tell you, oh, no, that's not true. Why do people decide not to face facts? Because it's too frightening, or?
Oh, I don't know. I think possibly it's, again, the fault of the school systems where no one's taught logic anymore. Facts don't mean anything. Just let's go along like Pollyanna. Everything is great. Hooray, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. Go on. It's great for tranquility if you go around with blinders on your eyes and plugs in your ears. You're going to be perfectly happy.
But the globalists are abusive and wicked, and if you go along with them, it's going to be very painful in the end. I mean, their abuses are legion.
They get you from every side, don't they?
Yes, sir. A key question I want to raise, how did you bring up 11 children, and now you have 48 grandchildren and 15 great-grandchildren? How did you raise your children and where they were so intelligent and so aware of the New World Order? I mean, earlier you said teach them not to trust what they see in the newspaper, to question it, but I'm sure there was more to that. For parents out there desperately trying to protect their children from this New World Order, how did you instill that in them?
Well, mostly by, after I got injured and moved to Australia, I got into a battle, and it was to get the church back. And they could see that what was going on there, even in the little group where you're trying to get things back. People will knife you in the back. Everywhere there's evidence of a plot to take over the world. You can't miss it. In the church, for instance, they had this Vatican Council II. They have popes that implement that whatever they were. I mean, it's mostly fog. There's one thing that we always had. Our doctrine was as clear as a human could make it, you know, because we simply knew what we were talking about and kept it as simple as we could, considering it's a divine revelation. And there was no question what was meant.
But to control...
When somebody in the church said something, you knew what he said.
But to control the present and the future, you've got to destroy history, don't you?
You do, absolutely. And that's another thing they did. Among the things that they, in one archdiocese that I know of, and it certainly wasn't unique, all the priests were told to destroy everything in their own libraries, which they bought and paid for, some of them in the thousands of dollars, on their subjects. Destroy everything printed before 1958. Now, what are they after?
Trying to rewrite history. Stay right there. We're talking to Hutton Gibson. We're honored to have him, Father Mel Gibson. We're going to come back. I've got a few other key questions for him. Then we're going to go to your calls at 800-259-9231. Please stay with us. I'm impressed with folks that have known about the New World Order 50 years ago. Hutton, I mean, was your big wake-up call when you saw, you would watch actual hearings going on in Congress and then read the newspaper and it was a 180 from what you actually saw take place? Was that the big wake-up call? When did you really learn about who was behind the New World Order and this move for a global system?
Well, I knew a few things before that, but that was a fine illustration what I already suspected for one thing and another. For instance, this shipping of the nuclear material to Russia during World War II. We knew about it out in the Pacific. And when I got home, nobody had ever heard of it.
And then they grab a couple patsies and fry them.
Yeah. And there's just evidence was everywhere. The big sellout to Russia was certainly a tip-off. I mean, I know a lot of fellows in the war wondered why they went. What were they doing out there fighting for our side and giving all the benefits to the communists?
Now, in your study of the New World Order, would you agree that communism is a creation of the international bankers and the elite as a kind of smokescreen for global empire to be set up? Because the communists, according to Professor Carol Quigley at Georgetown, admits really worked for the bankers to help set up this global power structure, this polar world, which they're now merging together, the two sides. You see America not reforming, but sliding towards tyranny, and Russia and China are the same that they always were. Our government just tells us that they're good now. What is this New World Order? I mean, it's certainly not just a communist system.
No, the communist system was a method to set up an enemy. I was talking to my uncle, who must have been almost 50 years ago, and he's a lawyer, and he's been watching the government for years, and he said, if it weren't for this red menace, this communist menace, I would favor tearing down the whole system and starting over. Too many laws, too much interference. Nothing is right anymore. Can't get anything straight. But, see, at that time, neither of us quite realized that that's what the communist menace was for. They set this up, and certainly the bankers financed it. Well known who financed it. And they just maintained this so-called menace, which couldn't get out of its own way. But we were supposed to give up our liberties so that we could fight this terrible menace.
Well, it's the same thing today. We've got to fight Al-Qaeda. We've got to give our rights up to fight Al-Qaeda while they leave the northern and southern borders wide open. Then it turns out Al-Qaeda was CIA created. It was the big New York banks and British banks that sent the money to Lenin in 1917. That's publicly out there. who set up the communists in power. So it's the same story over and over again, and I totally agree with your analysis. I want to do something here, Hutton Gibson, because we air this quite often here on the show, and it really states why we have to fight evil, whether we're going to win or not, because it's the right thing to do, and living under tyranny isn't living at all. So let's go ahead and play that clip, and this is somebody that Hutton will recognize. Go ahead and hit it, Mark.
What will you do without freedom? Will you fight? Against that? No! We will run! And we will live. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your bed many years from now. Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
All right. I'm sure you've heard and seen that before, Mr. Hutton.
Yeah, who was that?
That's my last question for you. Then we'll go to these calls. I'm really been honored to have you on the show today, and I appreciate you staying with us for this hour. I mentioned this to you last night and asked if it was okay to bring it up. I know you came on to talk about the New World Order, but this all ties together. Your son has made the best films of the last decade, the most patriotic, the most uplifting, Braveheart, The Patriot, and other films that really illustrate examples of tyranny where the general public can understand it, and we're all very thankful for that, and very thankful for your education and guidance that helped produce this. But your son was on the O'Reilly Factor and said that the media had been harassing you, and that he was very angry about it, and that he's getting harassment that he's never seen at this level before because he's making this historically accurate film, The Passion About Christ, that he's filming in Italy right now. Do you have any comments or a response to that, sir?
Well, you expect to get the shaft whenever you're doing something good. There are just too many devil worshippers out there. It's maybe a phrase, but it is accurate. Like, what did St. Paul say? All the gods of the heathen are devils?
Absolutely.
And one of them was mammon. Riches. The love of money is the root of all evil.
What is the mainstream media doing that would make your son so angry? Are they harassing you, or?
Well, I'm not sure, but now and then you get an approach. Someone wants to talk on your own subject, which is, in my case, this terrible thing that's happened to the church. And then it's going to be taken out of context and used against you. I think that's what happened to the last thing came along. I'm not sure, but I always figured, every knock is a boost. Every time I've been taken to task in public, I've picked up a few more subscribers to my wars now.
Well, they had a term in World War II: if you're not taking flak, you're not over the target.
Right. It's true.
So, absolutely. I mean, anybody doing anything good is going to be attacked by the establishment, and that's always a sign, where there's smoke, there's fire, that you're getting the job done. And I'm very excited to hear that this production is taking place. All right, folks, we're going to take calls now for Mr. Gibson, Hutton Gibson, and just have a question or a comment and then let him respond. So I want to get a lot of calls in the 20 minutes we've got left. Let's talk to Bill. Bill, you're up first. Where are you calling from today, sir?
Good morning.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Missouri.
Welcome. Go ahead. You're on the air.
I'd like to just say I think he's doing a fine job and ask what both of you think about going after the state legislatures to send volunteers down to the borders. We have to protect the borders.